Okay, so today we're diving into something uh, pretty out there, I gotta say, Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, this one is, it's a doozy.
I mean, we're talking about hypnotic sessions, right? Where people are describing this technology that uses blue beams of light.
Right, and it's supposedly all about controlling humanity in different ways.
Exactly. So our sources for this deep dive are three separate YouTube videos featuring people under hypnosis, and each one is recalling their experience with this Project Bluebeam.
It's like trying to piece together a puzzle with pieces from different puzzles, you know?
Totally, and that's what we're going to try to do today, right? Sift through these claims and see if we can find any interesting nuggets of truth.
Exactly. We're looking for patterns, connections, anything that kind of jumps out.
Right, so let's start with the basics. What is Project Bluebeam according to these sessions?
Well, the core concept seems to be this idea of a powerful force using some sort of advanced technology to manipulate global events and ultimately control humanity.
And technology itself involves these blue beams of light, right?
Right. Although where these beams are coming from seems to be up for debate. Some say they're coming from space. Others suggest they're originating from Earth.
And what about the purpose of these blue beams? What are they supposedly doing to us?
Well, that's where things start to get really interesting because each of these hypnotic sessions offers a slightly different interpretation.
Okay, so let's break it down. What did each subject have to say about the project's purpose?
Well, Irina, the first subject, she believes Project Bluebeam is manipulating some kind of dome around the Earth, potentially to control weather patterns.
Weather control. So they're basically weaponizing the weather.
That's one interpretation.
And what about Larissa? What was her take?
Her account focuses more on surveillance and mind control. She believes these blue beams are all about gathering data on brainwave frequencies and then using that information to influence our thoughts and actions.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? Mind control beams and all that.
Exactly. But then we have Tamara, and she throws in this whole alien element, claiming the blue beams are actually introducing an alien liquid into humans.
An alien liquid? What's that all about?
She suggests that this liquid causes mutations and potentially grants superhuman abilities. It's all very X-Men.
Okay, so we have weather control, mind control, and alien liquids. That's a lot to unpack. But who's behind all of this? Do these sources agree on who's pulling the strings?
Well, that's where we start to see some divergence in their accounts. Irina points the finger at a collaboration between America and European countries, sort of a familiar narrative in these global conspiracy theories.
Right, the usual suspects.
But then Larissa takes a more extraterrestrial turn, suggesting that private companies are working with an unnamed alien civilization.
Okay, things are getting weirder by the minute.
And then we have Tamara's account, which
Yeah.
suggests the project originated in the USSR with a focus on exploiting the powerful Slavic gene pool and later involved the deep state and even Ford.
Whoa, so we have government agencies, corporations, even aliens potentially involved. But there's one figure who seems to connect all these accounts, a journalist named Serge Monast.
Oh yeah, he's a key figure in the Project Bluebeam narrative. All three subjects claim he was the first to expose this project back in 1994.
Right, and they all agree that his death just 2 years after going public with his claims was no coincidence.
They suggest he was silenced by the very forces behind Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, like he knew too much and they had to shut him up. It's like a real-life spy thriller.
Definitely adds to the intrigue.
But how did he even find out about this project in the first place?
Well, there are a couple of different versions floating around. Tamara believes he received his information from a woman whose client was working on the project, while Irina describes him obtaining a mysterious folder through a contact at a high-level research institution.
So we're not exactly sure how he got his hands on this information, but somehow he did and he decided to go public with it.
Right. And the reaction he received was mixed, to say the least.
What do you mean?
Well, Irina claims authorities attempted to discredit him by disguising the project's infrastructure, essentially hiding it in plain sight.
So they were covering their tracks, making it harder for people to believe his claims.
Exactly. And Karina suggests that while some people were intrigued, most just dismissed him or forgot about his claims altogether.
Like he was just another crazy conspiracy theorist.
It does make you wonder, though, what if there's more to his story? What if he really did stumble upon something dangerous?
And what about Monast himself? Where is he now, according to these sessions?
Well, Irina believes he's trapped, isolated, unable to influence events, but still collecting information.
Like he's a prisoner of his own knowledge.
Yeah, a bit like that. But Tamara's vision is even more intriguing. She believes he's now working with a research institute in France, potentially still connected to the project on an ethereal level.
So he's either silenced or he's gone rogue and is working against the system from within. It's all very cloak and dagger. But these sessions aren't just about shadowy figures and government cover-ups. They also delve into the project's supposed phases and how this blue beam technology is allegedly being implemented.
Right. They're not just talking about they're also talking about the how.
And that's where things get even weirder, right?
Yeah, buckle up, because we're about to dive into the phases of Project Bluebeam, and it's going to get pretty wild.
Well, I'm ready for it. Hit me with everything you got.
All right, so we're back and ready to delve deeper into these phases of Project Bluebeam.
I'm definitely intrigued, but also a little creeped out, gotta say.
Yeah, it's some pretty intense stuff we're dealing with here.
Okay, so remind me again, what exactly are these phases, and how do they fit into this whole Project Bluebeam scheme?
Well, think of it like a step-by-step plan to control humanity.
Okay, so like a roadmap to global domination, basically.
You could say that.
And how many phases are we talking about here?
Well, initially there were supposedly 4 phases, at least according to this journalist, Serge Monast, that we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah, the guy who supposedly exposed the project and then died under mysterious circumstances.
Right, him. But here's where it gets even weirder. All 3 of these hypnotized subjects claim that the project has expanded and now has up to 8 phases.
8 phases, so they've added 4 more steps to their evil plan.
Seems that way, and these later phases are where things get really unsettling.
Okay, I'm all ears, lay it on me. What are these new phases all about?
Well, Tamara, she goes into quite a bit of detail about these later phases, and she describes this alien liquid, the one supposedly being introduced through the blue beams, starting to induce superhuman abilities.
Superhuman abilities? Like what kind of abilities are we talking about?
Where she mentions enhanced senses, increased strength, even the ability to defy gravity.
Whoa, hold on. Defy gravity? That's like straight out of a comic book.
I know, right? It's pretty wild stuff.
How are they supposedly giving people these abilities? I mean, it's not like they're handing out superhero suits.
Well, this is where things get really controversial. Tamara suggests that the alien liquid is being introduced through modern vaccines.
Vaccines? Whoa, okay, that's a pretty big claim.
Yeah, it definitely raises some eyebrows, especially given all the debates and conspiracies surrounding vaccines already.
Right. But it does make you think if they were going to introduce something into the population on a mass scale, vaccines would be a pretty effective way to do it.
It's a chilling thought for sure.
And what about the other phases? What do they have to say about those?
Well, a lot of it revolves around control and manipulation. Irina talks about a staged holographic event like a second coming or an alien invasion.
Wait, hold on. A holographic second coming? You mean like they're going to project an image of Jesus into the sky?
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And it's not just about creating a spectacle, it's about inducing mass panic and fear.
And why would they want to do that?
Well, think about it in a state of fear and chaos. People are more likely to accept drastic solutions. They're more likely to give up their freedoms in exchange for security.
So they create the problem and then offer themselves as the solution. Classic power move.
Exactly. And Tamara's account is even more disturbing. She describes a world where this blue beam technology has advanced to the point where it can directly control our thoughts and emotions.
Mind control. I mean, we talked about that before, but this is like next level mind control.
Right. It's like they're turning us into puppets, controlling our every thought and action.
Okay, so we've got holographic events, mind control alien liquids, giving people superpowers. It's like a mashup of every conspiracy theory ever.
It does make you wonder, though, how much of this is just overactive imaginations and how much of it could actually be based in reality.
Right. I mean, is there any evidence beyond these hypnotic sessions to support any of these claims?
That's the tricky part with conspiracy theories. Concrete evidence is often hard to come by, but there are a few things that might be worth considering.
Okay, like what?
Well, for starters, there have been numerous reports over the years of strange lights and unexplained atmospheric phenomena.
Oh, yeah, like those UFO sightings that you see on the news every now and then.
Exactly. And while many of these sightings can probably be explained away as natural occurrences or even hoaxes, there are a few that remain unexplained.
So you're saying some of those UFOs might actually be related to Project Bluebeam?
It's a possibility. And then there's the rapid development of technologies like HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program.
HAARP. Isn't that some kind of government project that studies the ionosphere?
It is. But some conspiracy theorists believe it could be used for more nefarious purposes like weather manipulation or even mind control.
Mind control again? I'm starting to see a theme here.
It's definitely a recurring motif in these Project Bluebeam narratives.
Okay, so we've got unexplained lights, advanced technology like HAARP, and a general sense that governments are becoming increasingly secretive and powerful. Is there anything else that ties into this Project Bluebeam story?
Well, there's one more element that we haven't really touched on yet, and it's one that's particularly relevant in today's rise of misinformation and the manipulation of media.
Oh, yeah, fake news and all that. It's hard to know what to believe these days.
Exactly. And if we connect that to the claims about Project Bluebeam, it raises the possibility that these staged holographic events or alien invasions could be amplified and manipulated through modern media.
So they could create a fake event and then use social media to make it go viral, spreading fear and panic.
Precisely. It's about manipulating our perception of reality on a massive scale.
It's like they're playing with our minds, messing with our sense of what's real and what's not.
It's a disturbing thought for sure.
Okay, so we've got a lot to think about here. Unexplained lights, advanced technology, misinformation. It's like all the ingredients for a dystopian nightmare.
It does make you wonder, though, are we already seeing the effects of Project Bluebeam in the world today? Are we already living in that dystopian nightmare?
I guess that's the question we need to answer in the final part of our deep dive.
That's right. Join us next time as we explore the potential connections between these Project Bluebeam theories and the events unfolding in our world right now.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dives into Project Bluebeam. And I gotta say, my head is still spinning from all the stuff we talked about in the last two parts.
Yeah, it's a lot to process, that's for sure.
I mean, Bluebeam's, aliens, mind control vaccines, it's like we went through the entire conspiracy theory bingo card.
We did cover a lot of ground, that's for sure.
But now we're at the point where we need to ask ourselves, like, is any of this actually happening? Are there any connections between these hypnotic accounts and the events unfolding in our world right now?
Right, because it's one thing to talk about these theories in the abstract, but it's another thing entirely to consider that we might already be living in a world where these technologies are being deployed.
Yeah, I mean, are we just being paranoid, or are there actual signs that Project Bluebeam is already in play?
Well, I think the first thing to consider is the rapid pace of technological advancement we've witnessed in recent years.
Oh yeah, technology's moving so fast, it's hard to keep up.
Exactly, and think about how much our perception of reality has already been altered by technology.
Well, like, what do you mean?
I mean, think about the rise of virtual reality, augmented reality, the metaverse.
You know, it's funny you should mention that because my kids are constantly immersed in these digital worlds, and sometimes it's hard to tell where the game ends and reality begins.
Precisely, and
Right.
that's the point. The lines between reality and simulation are becoming increasingly blurred.
And if we consider those trends alongside the claims about Project Bluebeam, it does raise some unsettling questions.
Like, what if the technology to create holographic projections on a massive scale already exists?
Whoa, are you saying those UFO sightings could actually be holographic projections?
It's a possibility, and then there's the whole issue of social media manipulation.
Oh yeah, you can make anything go viral these days, whether it's true or not.
Exactly, and that's the scary part. What if they're using these technologies to create events that aren't real, and then using social media to amplify those events and control how we perceive them?
So, like, they stage a fake alien invasion and then use Twitter to make everyone freak out.
It's not entirely out of the realm of possibility.
That's messed up.
It is, and it highlights the importance of critical thinking and media literacy. In today's world, we need to be able to discern truth from falsehood.
But if this technology is as sophisticated as these sessions suggest, if it can manipulate our thoughts and emotions, how can we possibly defend ourselves against it?
Well, that's the real challenge, isn't it? If we're to believe these accounts, this technology bypasses our conscious awareness, working on a subconscious level to influence our thoughts and behaviors.
So it's like we're fighting an invisible enemy.
In a way, yes, but that doesn't mean we're powerless. Remember, these sessions also emphasize the power of human consciousness and free will.
So we're not just mindless robots being controlled by some evil mastermind.
Not if we choose not to be. It's about recognizing those external influences and consciously choosing to resist them.
But how do we even know when we're being influenced?
That's where self-awareness comes in. It's about being mindful of your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, and asking yourself where they're coming from. Are they truly your own, or are they being influenced by external forces?
So basically, we need to be more in tune with ourselves.
Exactly, and we need to be discerning about the information we consume. Question everything. Cross-check sources, and don't blindly accept narratives, even if they seem compelling.
It's like that old saying, trust but verify.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And beyond being discerning consumers of information, we need to cultivate critical thinking skills.
Okay, so be discerning, be skeptical, be critical thinkers. Sounds like a tall order.
It is, But these are essential skills in today's world, especially if we want to avoid being manipulated.
And what about the whole alien liquid thing? Is there any way to protect ourselves from that?
Well, that's a bit more of a hypothetical scenario, but I think the same principles apply. Stay informed, be aware of what's going on in the world, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
You know, it's funny. We started this deep dive talking about blue beams and mind control, and now we're talking about critical thinking and self-awareness.
Well, in a way, they're all connected. The more we understand about the potential threats to our freedom, the more empowered we are to protect ourselves.
That's a good point. So even if Project Bluebeam turns out to be a complete hoax, this deep dive hasn't been a waste of time.
Not at all. If anything, it served as a reminder that we need to be vigilant. We need to be aware of the forces that are trying to shape our world, and we can take an active role in shaping our own realities.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. So to sum it all up, Project Bluebeam, fact or fiction, we may never know for sure. But one thing's for certain, it's a reminder that the future is not predetermined. It's something we create through our choices, our actions, and our willingness to question everything.
Well said. And as we sign off, we want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. If the technology to manipulate our minds and perceptions already exists, who's to say it's not already being used? What signs might we be missing? And what can we do to ensure that our thoughts, our beliefs, and our very realities remain our own?
Those are definitely questions worth considering. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Project Bluebeam. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and most importantly, stay in control.